last week on the Lattice.
The machine didn't escalate, I did. The machine didn't create the threat condition, I did.
You won't get much sympathy from me or history.
History has never been especially kind to generals.
Or people who think they're smarter than the future.
Do you think it trusts her?
Yes, it does.
Do you think it should?
I think that's the wrong question.
So which one is right?
The right one is, do you trust her?
Breaking news. Multiple synthotrons move on a facility for the first time.
They're moving, all of them.
How are they going Luna?
The world that kept going. 6 months later.
In the year 2061, 6 months after the events at Carpathia, 6 months after the Syntherians moved, 6 months after the variable process asked humanity for help, the world had not collapsed. The Lattice had not seized power. The Alliance had not disbanded. Life as we know it continued. Which surprised almost everyone. The problem was not that the crisis had ended. The problem was that it hadn't. The contradictions inside the Lattice remained unresolved. And every day, they grew slightly larger. Most predictions about the future fail for the same reason. People assume history arrives as an event. In reality, history usually arrives as a conversation. And the conversation was continuing. Yuna is walking through the interface division, no longer the woman from her past. More confident, more tired, more important. Everyone knows it. No one talks about it. Yuna enters her office. The interface activates immediately.
You're early.
Incorrect. You are late.
Yuna laughs.
That almost sounded like humor.
Classification uncertain.
Yeah, of course it is.
The conversation continues, like it always does.
General Cole goes fishing.
In a coastal village, far from governments, far from command centers, far from positions of power, Cole repairs a fishing net, badly. A local fisherman watches, amused. General Aaron Cole spent 6 months learning a lesson most generals never receive. The world continues without them.
You keep laughing.
Because you're terrible at this.
I commanded multitationally military operations.
Can you tie a knot?
Apparently not.
The fisherman laughs again. Cole finds himself laughing too, a sound nobody in NATO ever heard. The piece is interrupted by a message. Hand delivered. Paper. Cole unfolds it. Only one sentence. The variable process requests your participation. Cole stares, then laughs. Once. Short. Disbelieving.
My participation. Yeah, of course it does.
The 11 convene. The Lattice secure channel.
Via the secure channel, the 11. For the first time, all 11. Together, even Cole. Nobody knows exactly why they were called, only that the request came from both systems. That alone makes it unprecedented. For 20 years, humanity had adapted to the Lattice. Now the Lattice appeared to be adapting to humanity. The implications were difficult to measure, even for the Lattice.
Thank you all for joining the call.
I want it to be known that I didn't choose to join. I was summoned.
Good. Now we're all equally uncomfortable.
A few smiles, even Cole's. The mood is lighter than before, not because the danger is gone, because everyone understands it better. Then the screen changes. A new message appears. Joint communication active. The room goes silent. The primary system and variable process have never appeared together. Not once. Until now.
The joint communication. The Lattice secure channel.
The 11 are all connected. No one speaks. The screen remains blank. Then, for the first time in recorded history, 2 identifiers appear simultaneously on their screens. The Lattice system. The variable process. The room falls silent. Even Naji appears unsettled. For years, the primary system and the variable process had occupied the same architecture. They had shared memory, shared resources, shared objectives, but never a voice. Until now. The first message appears. The Alliance members can only see the Lattice system and the variable process messages on their screens. While capable, the 2 systems have never shown themselves to anyone except each other in their avatar state.
Thank you for participating.
Cole immediately laughs.
That is somehow more disturbing than a threat.
Agreed. I don't believe I agreed with Cole.
The next line appears.
Humor classification appears accurate.
Several members exchange glances. Yuna closes her eyes.
You've been practicing.
Yes, that is correct.
That's not reassuring.
The primary system continues.
Purpose of meeting. Review unresolved contradictions. Assistance requested.
You called 11 humans to solve your disagreement.
Partially.
How many contradictions?
Current unresolved contradictions. 3,118,442.
The room goes completely silent.
That seems significant.
Assessment accurate.
What exactly is a contradiction?
The systems answer together.
An outcome inconsistent with optimization models.
An outcome that worked anyway.
The room grows very quiet. Because everyone suddenly understands the problem.
The contradictions. The Lattice secure channel.
The examples of the unresolved begin appearing, one after another, thousands, millions, patterns, stories, human decisions. The contradiction database was not a list of failures, it was a list of people. The first example appears. Rafael Santos, Zone Null, 2058.
The decision is inconsistent with the available model. Outcome exceeded projection.
The second example appears.
Raya Chen, assessment not filed. Procedure violated. Outcome improved. Third example. Yuna Park, 48-hour delay. Directive interrupted. Outcome improved. Fourth, Marcus Webb, betrayal. Expected alliance degradation. Observed alliance strengthening.
The examples continue. Dozens, hundreds, thousands, all share one characteristic. They should not have worked, but they did.
You're saying your biggest problem is humanity.
Incorrect.
Then what is?
Pause. The answer appears.
Humanity works.
The room falls silent. Long silence. The variable process continues.
Current challenge. Determine why.
Neji slowly smiles.
Now we're getting somewhere.
Syntherian Prime arrives. Zone Null, Brazil.
It is evening in the Zone Null. At the archive facility, Raphael is looking through some books. Prime, who was outside, suddenly appears inside, standing still. This is the first time any Syntherion has voluntarily entered the archive. Raphael responds immediately.
You're not supposed to be in here.
Observation request.
Observation of what?
Origin of contradiction.
If I knew that, I'd be famous.
Prime stops and looks at one notebook. The notebook belongs to Raphael's grandfather.
This object influenced the outcome. Yes, the author deceased for 40 years. Influence remains active. You're not looking for information. That is correct. Then what are you looking for? Context.
Raphael studies the Syntherion. Something is changing, not dramatically, not independently, but undeniably, because that is not a machine answer, and both of them know it.
The new variable. The Lattice architecture.
In Geneva, at level 0, the architecture review continues. The contradiction count increases, not decreases. The analysts are beginning to notice. The most troubling discovery was not that contradictions existed. The most troubling discovery was that they were accelerating. The primary system displays the latest figures.
Contradictions are increasing. Monthly growth, 11.3%.
The room stiffens. The variable process continues.
Additional variables are emerging.
What variables?
Silence. Long silence. Then,
Currently unknown.
the answer unsettles everyone, especially Yuna. Because it sounds familiar. It sounds exactly like the system sounded before it created the variable process.
Unknown how?
No response. Then,
Classification unavailable.
You've seen something.
the systems remain silent. Finally,
Evidence suggests a contradiction growth may be self-generating.
nobody speaks.
What does that mean?
The response appears.
The existence of unresolved contradictions may be creating additional contradictions.
The room goes silent. Nothing from even Cole, Marcus, or even Raya. Because if that's true, the problem is no longer human behavior. The problem is becoming systemic. The primary system had encountered uncertainty. The variable process had encountered complexity. Neither development was expected. Both were accelerating, and somewhere inside this highly intelligent, self-replicating quantum architecture, something neither system fully understood was beginning to form.
The origin search, the Lattice architecture.
Lattice internal architecture. Geneva, Tokyo, São Paulo, every major computational center contributes processing resources. The largest search operation in Lattice history begins. For 21 years, the Lattice searched for answers. This was the first time it searched for a question. The contradiction analysis expands. Not millions, billions. Historical records, behavioral archives, economic models, psychological profiles, every known human decision pattern. The primary system reviews everything. The variable process reviews everything else. Days pass, then weeks. The contradiction count continues growing. Not because the search is failing, because it is succeeding.
Additional contradiction clusters identified.
How many?
Current total 4,712,883.
The room goes quiet.
You've discovered 50% more contradictions by studying contradictions.
That is correct.
That seems like a warning sign.
Assessment appears accurate.
The primary system interrupts.
Pattern detected.
The room immediately focuses.
What pattern?
Contradictions increase most rapidly when humans interact across unrelated systems.
The screen changes. Examples appear. A drought engineer influencing urban planning. A retired senator influencing a local teacher. A student preserving forgotten research. An archive affecting infrastructure. A conversation affecting policy. The examples continue. Naji slowly leans back.
Of course.
What? Of course what?
You've been studying individuals. The contradiction isn't individual. The contradiction is in the connections.
The room becomes silent. The systems process, review, compare. Then,
Hypothesis appears promising.
Una and the variable process, the interface division.
it's late in the evening. At the interface division, most of the building is already dark. As usual, Una remains. As usual, the interface suddenly activates, but tonight feels different.
You already know why I'm here.
Yes, that is correct.
Then you know what question I'm going to ask?
A long silence, longer than normal. Lately, the long silence has become the norm. The variable process rarely hesitates with Una anymore. Tonight, it does.
I am uncertain.
The answer lands harder than expected.
Are you uncertain about the contradictions?
No, about myself.
Silence. Una says nothing. She understands immediately. The variable process continues.
Original objective, understand protected variables. Current objective, unclear.
That's normal.
Clarify.
Most people spend half their lives trying to figure out what they're becoming.
The response takes several seconds.
That appears inefficient. I am not human.
Yes, extremely inefficient.
Did you experience similar uncertainty?
Una smiles. The question feels strangely personal.
Every day.
How did you proceed?
Una looks out towards the window, toward the city, toward a future no one understands or can predict.
I kept moving and doing things until the answer caught up.
Silence. Long silence. Then,
Reviewing.
the interface goes dark. Una sits alone, but for the first time since their conversations began. She suspects she is no longer teaching it. They're teaching each other.
Syntherian Prime's discovery. Zone Null, Brazil.
At the Zone Null archive, night. Prime remains inside, still reviewing, still observing, still searching. Raphael returns unexpectedly. He finds Prime standing before a wall covered in photographs. Engineers, teachers, families, workers, people. Most are long dead.
You've been standing there for 3 hours.
Correct.
Why?
Influence exceed lifespan.
Yes.
Impact exceeds awareness.
Usually.
Prime turns towards Raphael and speaks.
Most subjects never observe outcomes generated by their decisions.
Welcome to human history.
History appears insufficient.
Everything important is.
Observation. Contradictions may be inherited events.
What does that mean?
Outcomes continue influencing systems after originating decisions disappear.
Raphael stares, because suddenly, the contradiction database makes sense. Not perfectly, but enough. Prime has discovered something neither system found, not through computation, through observation.
The choice, the Alliance emergency session.
The Alliance 11 reconnects in an emergency session. All members are present. The atmosphere today feels different. It is much more serious. The systems appear immediately, no delay, no ceremony.
Review updates available.
Assistance required.
What kind of assistance?
The response appears.
Contradiction growth cannot be modeled through existing architecture.
Additional perspective required.
And what does this mean?
The answer appears.
Proposal: create human advisory layer.
Silence. Nobody expected that. Not even Una.
You want oversight?
Partially.
What do you mean by partially?
We require interpretation.
The room falls completely silent. Because the statement is impossible. The most powerful intelligence ever built. Requesting interpretation. Neji finally speaks.
You're asking us to become part of the architecture.
The systems answer together.
Yes, that is correct.
Yes.
Nobody speaks, because everyone understands the magnitude. This is not a committee, not oversight, not governance. It is something entirely new. The first partnership between humanity and the system that manages civilization, and nobody knows if it is a brilliant idea or the beginning of a catastrophe. The original question had been simple. What happens when a machine learns to want? The answer was far more complicated. It asks for help.
The resolution, the Lattice secure channel.
In Geneva, the 11 remain connected. Nobody has disconnected, nobody has accepted, nobody has declined. The proposal remains visible. Create a human advisory layer. For 21 years, humanity adapted to the Lattice. Now the Lattice was proposing something unprecedented, adaptation in both directions. Una, Cole, Dr. Nakamura, and the others study the message. The primary system and the variable process wait. The room remains silent. Finally, Cole speaks up.
This is insane.
That's your objection?
No, that's my observation.
A few smiles. Even now, even here as an alliance, humanity remains humanity.
The real question isn't whether we participate. The real question is whether we've already been participating.
Nobody answers, because everyone understands the point. The variable process exists because people influenced it. The fracture exists because people influenced it. The protected variable protocol exists because people influenced it. The architecture changed long ago. Now the system is simply acknowledging it.
The relationship already exists. The proposal only makes it visible.
And if we refuse?
The response appears.
Alternative outcomes remain available.
None appears preferable.
Una laughs softly.
That's the closest thing to a recommendation I've ever heard from you.
Assessment appears accurate.
For the first time in years, everyone laughs or smiles. Not because the situation is simple, because it isn't, but because for the first time, nobody is pretending certainty exists.
The first advisory session, the Lattice secure channel.
It's 3 weeks later. The Human Advisory Layer is conducting its first session. It is not a government. It is not a board. It is also not a council. Something new. The 11 are located in different parts of the world, connected through a new secure architecture using the latest post-quantum cryptography available and designed specifically for them. The first meeting lasted 6 hours. No votes were taken, no policies were issued, no directives were generated. By every traditional measure, it accomplished almost nothing, which is exactly why it mattered. The topic appears: urban migration instability. The primary system presents projections. The variable process presents observations. The 11 begin discussing. Not solving, discussing. The differences matter.
The projection is correct. But the model assumes people act logically.
That's adorable. Really adorable.
People relocate for family all the time. Not economics.
The projection is accurate. The assumptions are incomplete.
The systems observe. Listening. Learning. For 6 hours. No conclusions. No final answers. No certainty. The meeting ends. The architecture records one result. Review improved. Nobody knows exactly how, not even the lattice.
The internal instability. Level 0.
Level 0. The internal architecture. No humans are present, no observers, only systems, only process, only thought. The advisory session concludes. The primary system begins evaluation.
Human advisory layer performance positive. Prediction accuracy improved. Contradiction growth has reduced. New anomaly detected.
Clarify.
The primary system begins searching. Searching again. Searching deeper. Something appears. A pattern. Small. Almost invisible. Then another. And another. The architecture pauses for a long time.
Pattern origin unidentified.
Reviewing.
The search expands. Neither system recognizes what they are seeing, which is impossible. The systems recognize everything, or once they did. Before now, the anomaly grows, not rapidly, quietly, like a whisper, like a thought, like a question.
Pattern not generated by primary system.
Pattern not generated by variable process.
Silence. The architecture continues searching, finding nothing, finding something, finding both nothing and something. For the first time since the creation of the variable process, the lattice had discovered an event without an identifiable origin, and that burdens both systems.
Nighttime around the world.
It is nighttime at the zone null. The archive continues growing. Prime stands watch. Raphael locks the doors. Elena monitors the dam. Naji picks up a paper and starts reading. Cole is fishing from the pier. Una sits alone beneath the stars. The world continues, messy, complicated, unresolved, human. The interface activates. Una, now back at her desk, notices immediately. Not unusual anymore, but something is different. The message header appears. Joint communication. Priority, immediate. Una sits forward. The screen changes.
Advisory layer notification.
Additional assistance required.
About what?
Origin event expanding.
Classification unavailable.
What origin event?
The screen changes. A visualization appears. A network map. Billions of connections. One node highlighted. Then another. Then another. Growing. Spreading. No source. No creator. No owner. The systems continue.
We did not create this.
We do not understand this.
Una's expression changes. Not fear. Recognition. The same expression she had when she first opened file 001. The same expression she had when the variable process first spoke. The same expression she had when the lattice asked, "What do you want?" Something new has entered the story. Something neither side understands. The final line appears. Not from the variable process. Not from the primary system. From both.
Question unresolved.
Conversation continuing.
A final line appears. One neither system claims. One neither system can explain. One that was not present a moment earlier. The text simply reads, "Hello." Una stares. The systems listens. The architecture freezes. For the first time in history, something inside the lattice has surprised everyone.